So hello everyone, my name is Tan and I chose to do my case study on blindsight. This is the article that I chose and it is about a patient referred to as BI who is male and is 67 years old. Some history about him is that at 9 days old, he suffered from seizures and neonatal hypoglycemia due to a medium chain acetyl-CoA dehydrogenase deficiency. And then they conducted MRI studies after the incident, and that showed that he had normal brain characteristics. A second MRI revealed that he had severe acute ischemic changes in various parts of the brain. And then at 4 years old, a routine MRI study showed that there was a major loss of volume in regions of the gliosis, gray and white matter within the occipital cortex bilaterally. Some methods of data collection that are used was a visual assessment, where they asked him to cover one eye and he was given a buzzer, which he had to press every time he perceived a light stimulus. So in this picture, we can see that there is a severe vision impairment in his right eye, while the left eye is classified as blind. The results over here include the control participants and BI's results. The x-axis represents the visual field, where the y-axis represents the intensity of the stimulus. Number two, the orientation discrimination was also used. And so he was presented with a white rod and he had to basically guess what orientation it was in, whether it was in like a vertical position or horizontal. And shape discrimination, he was given 2 white blocks and asked to guess if it was the same shape. Number 3, color recognition, he was presented with the primary colors and he had to guess what the colors were, which he got perfect in. Number 4, 2D and 3D object recognition. For the first one, he was showed pictures on a computer screen and he had to guess what they were. And for the 3D object recognition, he was given the object and he can either hold it or just look at it. And he was asked to guess what it was. For the first one, they found out that when the image was larger, he was able to guess it correctly. But when it was smaller, he couldn't do it as well. For face discrimination, he was presented with the 2 faces and he was asked to guess if it was the same or different. And for number 6, for grasping, he was presented with 5 rectangles with the same surface area but with different widths, and he was asked to pick it up with his thumb and forefinger and also guess the width of the rectangle, which he couldn't do as well. They also examined his neural pathways and did a structural and diffusion MRI and compared the results with 4 healthy young male control. And so the green lines represent the normal number of connections between the parts of the brain, while the red lines show the reduced number of connections. The result of the chart on the bottom, they show that the patient's brain connections between the left eye and the V1 were almost completely lost, but the connections between left eye and MT were almost, they were mainly preserved. And so it highlights the asymmetry of the damage between the 2 hemispheres. And so these results, they confirmed the previous diagnosis. It indicates that the right hemisphere presented a volume loss of gray and white matter in the areas of V1 and V2. There's thinning of the sputum of the corpus callosum, as well as dilated ventricles, optic radiation degeneration, and so this indicates that the connections in the right hemisphere were severely reduced compared to the control cases. And so tying back to the course, it kind of reinforces the 2 visual systems hypothesis by Miller and Goodale. And the fact that BI was able to perform some tasks accurately, although he was not conscious, it shows that he was using the dorsal system, which is largely for unconscious, and the fact that BI had deficit in his ventral system is responsible for processing the details and characteristics of objects, and is conscious is consistent with the ventral aspect of the 2 visual hypothesis system. And that